Awesome. So we're live again. Episode's brought to you by Coke Zero and Diet Coke.
Nice.
Fake product plug. Rudy, thank you so much for joining me this episode of Get It Right, where we talk to the teachers and trainers of boxing. Um, I always like to start off with a really open-ended question. One thing I actually read on your social media that I thought was really cool, you don't hear very often, is you had said you came, I'm going to misquote it, I'm sorry in advance, but essentially coming from rags to riches, coming from nothing to now living the dream. What is the dream? What is that for you?
Well, it's more like from the ghetto to the world. So I think at the end of the day, um, I couldn't imagine. I just couldn't ever imagine living the life I'm living. That I thought I'd be living it. I mean, like I remember getting on an airplane one time, and it was a big deal. Then we got on the airplane two times. Now I'm like on an airplane almost every weekend. And
Yeah.
but being able, okay, look, coming from poverty, because we were born and raised poor, and we understand what it's like to be poor. And at the end of the day, it's okay to be broke, but I don't want to be poor ever again. I can deal with being poor, but I don't want to be broke, you know. And I still live in South Central Los Angeles, where I grew up at. And my thing is, why would I invest my hard-earned money in other communities when I can do it in my own and hopefully make a difference in somebody else's life?
A lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people, as soon as they get the money, they get out. What is it that keeps you there? I mean, aside from reinvesting into your community, what is it that keeps you so connected to South Central LA?
I raised my children here as well, and they're both, they both went, they fulfill the deal, and that was for them to go to a university and graduate, and that's the only thing I required from them, and they did that, but we still lived here in South Central, and my thing has always been this, okay, I sleep here, but I don't really live here, if that makes sense, because we go out. We go to San Clemente for lunch. We go to Calabasas for dinner. I mean, we're all over the place. I'll go to jump. If you say, hey, you want to go to Las Vegas for dinner? Because it's one place. Okay, let's go. If we have time, I'll go.
Is that part of being a fighter and then being a trainer and just living a lifestyle like that? You're so used to being kind of nomadic and moving around versus staying in one place.
Well, that's the beauty of the sport. It's taken me to different parts of the world that I couldn't even imagine ever doing what I've done. Like, well, here's one for you. I've been to Japan over 150 times, I think, and I've been to Russia like six times. I've been to Singapore, Uruguay, Argentina. I mean, I've been to all kinds of countries, and I still live in the ghetto in South Central. How great is
Is that almost
that?
a badge? Is that almost a badge of pride just to be able to say like, yeah, I'm in South Central. Guess where I've been? Like being able to do both.
Yeah, I think it's great because for me to live where I'm at right now is comfortable. And everything is close by. The restaurants, the airport, the gyms. I mean, like anything. I'm here like in the central, and I can just go anywhere. And I like that. I don't have to be fighting traffic like my brother did when he moved out to Mission Viejo. He it take him like anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours sometimes to get over to the gym. And I'm just like, I can run to the gym, so it's all good.
Awesome. Um, Kind of getting into I'll start with like the really technical stuff. So really, really low level technical. What's one thing, and they're very open ended too. So what is one thing that most guys get wrong when they're working as cutmen or wrapping hands? What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone that you notice most guys or a lot of guys get wrong when they start out?
Well, one of the things I see is that they put their padding on top of the knuckles, and sometimes it it's like half. It only when they're done, half of the padding is above the knuckle, and it's not supposed to be like that. But I don't get so much involved with people. I don't criticize. I just watch. I do my thing, and everybody does their thing, and unless they ask me, like I have a few people who have asked me if I can show them how to do hand wraps, but I tell them that try it, try doing it, do this, kind of do this, and I kind of guide them a little bit through it, and but you do your own, do your own, and at the end of the day, are we all perfect? No, no. Some will criticize mine, some somebody else criticize theirs, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. I think I'd be nervous to ever wrap hands because I was just watching something from the Cambosis fight where Russ Amber was he was putting the tape on, and what he said was he goes put what he does is he has him put their knuckle against his stomach so that he can get the top of it and put the tape over. And I didn't realize the commission is so anal about it that they'll stop you and go, no, like if it's touching the knuckle at all. So like your measurements have to be pretty impeccable. Like you almost have to be pretty perfect every time you tape hands.
When's okay, this is okay. Here's the dumb in me. You learn to chew and walk at the same time. You all right? But when you've been doing when you've been doing something for so many years, and look, I'm that guy, okay? And I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm proud of who I am and what I've done, and whether right or wrong. I'm proud of what I do and how I go about what I do because when I do my job, I do it to the best of my ability, and I don't want to cheat any fighter out of the best. And even
Yeah.
if it's $2 or $2 million, I'm going to give you 110% because my name is stamped on it. And I think that when you start learning how to do things little by little, you get better over, but you gotta stay active. I mean, how blessed am I to be working with the UFC? I get to go all kinds of different places and work with a bunch with all different fighters, and I'm not looking to be friends with anybody. If I get picked, great. If I don't, that's okay. But but I will say this: um, when it comes to being a cut man, when it comes to keep going to the cage, I want the very best for the fighters, and I'm gonna give them the very best.
That's got to be if you're a cut man, you got to be earning your pay, in
Come on,
MMA. Oh, can you hear me okay?
you're freeze.
Oh, shoot. Can you hear me?
Now I can. You were frozen there for a second.
Oh, sorry about that. No, I was going to say the MMA's got to be a place where you earn your dollars as a cut man, right? Because the cuts are much more prevalent and they seem like it's almost inevitable, or it's the odds of someone getting cut in a fight are way higher in UFC. Has it been more of a challenge doing it for MMA versus like if you had to do cut work for a boxer?
The way I mean, like there's been a few fights where like I've had to use like almost four or five fingers to be able to get that person back out in the fight. And but end of the day, it's they both can be hard work, both of them. And but what I believe that what makes a cut man is being able to use the end swell properly, because not everybody knows how to use it.
I'll be honest. That didn't even cross my mind. So what is the like? What is the correct way to use it, or the difference between what most people do?
Well, first, they apply it straight when it can be applied differently in different angles so that it works for the fighter. And all these things I've gone through the experience with the UFC, and I'm always thinking I can't ever remember thinking that I did a good job. Anytime I do something and I work on a cut, I come back to the seat, and even when the fights are over, I ask myself, how could I have done it better, or what could I have done differently? I just and even though I've had a few doctors and people come and tell me, hey man, you did a great job, and I know I didn't do a great job because I might have not put enough Vaseline, or I might have could have done it a little bit better. But that's me being hard on myself because
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't ever want to get comfortable. Like I got this. No, I'm. It's important that I do my job because that's the fighter's future.
Have you ever? I mean, I heard the story recently. I forgot which show you were on, but you said there was an MMA fighter. You were going to work his nose, and his nose essentially had a hole in it, which is crazy. But like, that's a good example. But
Yeah.
how do you keep your composure? Like, what is your mind state to stay calm when you're essentially doing surgery in 1 minute? Like a quick surgery within 1 minute.
I'm sorry, it's not a minute. We're lucky. We're lucky that the most I think that I ever gotten on being able to work with somebody, I'm gonna say maybe about 53 seconds. Because by the time you get in there and then you start working on the fighter and then you got to get out. So the most I think I've ever gone was like 53 seconds. But I'm that guy that I'm quick. I go in there as fast as possible and I start working on the fighters. And but that one fighter we were talking about that you mentioned, it was I stuck my thumb into inside the nose with the swab, and in my mind I bounced back and I said, oh shit, this is. I was like, damn. I mean, but I was all this was going through my head at that moment, but I couldn't bounce back. I had to hold the ground because this fighter is I got to work on him, and every second counts. So you got to make them count.
It's tough to keep the poker face when you see you see it and you go, oh my god, that's a wreck. You can't let them see that it's a wreck, right? So
I can't.
I mean, I'm assuming you got to stay calm.
Yeah, I can't. No, I can't. If I lose a split second, I failed. I do things. I do them. I just go to it. It's like I don't know, man. I like to believe that it's just a natural talent that I was born with. Because if you're gonna start to think about it, that clock is ticking, and if you, and you've already lost time, and that's not fair to the fighter.
Um, when you're in your times working, coaching fighters, it's kind of a weird question, but is there ever a time you don't say something that maybe is really obvious? Like, for example, I remember seeing a fight where Abel Sanchez, I forgot, I can't remember who the fighter was, but I can specifically remember the fighter was knocked down. When he came to the corner, he didn't mention the knockdown. He gave him the next instructions. Have you ever had a time where there was something you didn't tell a fighter that was, I don't know, that had happened in the previous round for a specific reason?
No, it's the moment. I'm living the moment. Whatever I see, I do. But have I ever thought outside the box? Yeah, I've done certain things. I'll give you an example. Like my brother, he fought Carlos Famoso Hernandez at the Olympic Auditorium, and he was really irritated and frustrated because, he couldn't. He told me like in the ninth round that he couldn't catch his second breath. And so he went out and he fought. When he came back to the next round, I asked him. I said, "Hey, Gennaro, you want to go to Denny's instead of the pantry, man? Because there's gonna be a lot of people, man, and and we're we're gonna pick up the tab. So let's go to Denny's. It's probably cheaper than the pantry, the one in downtown." And then he goes, "Yeah, I mean, like yeah, wherever you decide to go, we'll go." And so this was during the end of the 10th round. So the fight ends in the 12th round. The fight ends, and and my brother comes to the corner and goes, "Is that all you ever think of? Is just food?" And I'm like, yeah, because at the end of the day, man, you're frustrated, you're irritated. And I'm trying to get you out of that moment, so that. And then he goes, "Well," and then he was really surprised, and then
Yeah.
Man, "Well, it did work, because I'm over here thinking about this guy thinking about food. I'm over here trying to catch my second win." But it did help a little.
So it's like that old trick of just trying to pivot, get his mind off of it quick enough and just
Yeah.
change that trajectory.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, sometimes you got to think outside the box. It's not always like this, but I do believe that as a corner man, you have to be you got to be focused and watching every little detail because that's what matters, So yeah, I get television when I'm in the corner. I get television. I kind of like I even tune people out because I'm so focused and I'm talking to myself. What? Okay, this is what we need to do. This is what he needs to do, and I'm talking to myself, and I can't hear a whole lot of what's going on.
Do you think a lot of that comes from being a fighter first? Having that fighting mentality where you're, as a fighter, you have to be directly in the moment with the fighter in front of you. Did that transfer over, or do you think it's a different dynamic?
I think it's different. It's a little different, but I will say that as because I was a fighter, I'm a little bit more understanding what the fighter's going through. I know what he's going through. I of all people would know more than most because I'm that guy who used to lose anywhere from 22 to 30 pounds for a fight, and I was still young at the time. But and I know what it's like to weigh in the day of the fight and fight that night,
Yeah.
and so it's different. But that mindset, I, I wish. Well, I used to say, man, I wish I was my coach, but that's not the way it works. I had to go through everything that I went through in life to be in the position that I'm in today. But also good and bad, they come together. Now, today I can honestly tell you that there is not one single thing that I would change about how I live my life, whether it's work or personal, whatever. I'm very happy because I'm where I'm at, good or bad.
That's always the big thing too. Is it's like you can look back and say you could all look back when we're younger and go, oh, if I would have did X, Y, Z. A lot of that's hindsight biased, but also like if you're happy with where you got, no matter how hard it was or how rough the path was, you're there, and you don't know if you'd have been there if it didn't happen the way it did. If you didn't have to suffer through what you suffered through.
Good or bad, I think I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like in that, I think I'm always trying to be a step ahead, and how can I do things better? And fighters, they come in different ways. Like I have Junto. What a great fighter. I mean, how lucky am I? But but we help each other, and I was able to start work. I started working with him when he was like 15 years old. So we've been together almost like 12 years, and in the 12 years, he he trusts me. He believes in what I think and what I say, and he executes right. You know, but like, and again, I couldn't do it if it wasn't for him.
When you talk about that trust, like, you build trust with the fighter, I think that's critical, especially when you get to those moments where a fighter gets tested. How do you establish and build trust with the fighter where you can get them to do what they need to do in those trying times?
Well, the thing is, it's got to make sense. If it's not making sense, how are they gonna believe in you? And you have to show them, okay, this is how you do this, and this is why we do this. And so he'll listen, and he it registers, and then he'll say, okay, I got it. That's how good Junto is, and that's how easy it's been for me to work with him, because I mean we seem to be like on the same page all the time. Like this last fight, I asked him like maybe five um 5 weeks before the fight, man, we gotta get him. We gotta get him in the first round. Take it to him and try to get him out in the first round. And I wasn't sure if that's what he was gonna do, but when that bell rang and he went after him, I was like, all right, we were really on the same page. And I don't know if you saw the fight or not, but he broke him down, and the fight ended in the sixth round.
When you go strategically and say, I want you to take them in the first round, what is like the reasoning behind that versus saying like, hey, take your time, pick your shots?
Well, because I believe that surprise him. Like first, I was watching a few fights of this kid. The kid only has 10 professional fights, but he was a world champion by his eighth professional fight. And so I'm like, you know what? And I watched a few of his fights, and I'm like, this guy's a lot better than people think. But and so I don't know. I just thought that maybe if we just make him fight from the beginning and break him down, and and I saw that also that he he swelled up on his right eye on several fights that he had before. So I'm like, I think that we keep hitting him, we should be okay. And sure enough, I mean, at the end of the day, it played out like we thought it would, and he was able to stop the guy in the sixth round.
Now he sounds like he's, I mean this in the nicest way. He's like a teacher's pet. Like he'll do everything you ask. He's loyal. He trusts you. What do you do to get a fighter to do the things you need him to when he's not like that? You don't have to name anyone specifically, but a fighter who wants to do things their way.
I'll
Uh,
use
you know.
I'll use okay, I'll tell you what. I'll use Jose Armando Santa Cruz. That's Leo
Okay.
Santa Cruz's brother. So in life, not everybody is some people learn certain ways different ways because they're not for if I tell you like straight like this, it won't make sense. But if I curve it or I do it in a different way, then it starts to make sense. And so Jose Armando Santa Cruz was he needed like a split second to try to figure out what was said, because you can tell him, but then he has to repeat it in his mind what I said so that he can comprehend what what was said. And it wasn't until one day I saw um, I I talked to him in English, and then they translated it in Spanish. And I'm like, okay, this guy knows both languages, but
Yeah.
it gave him a few seconds to think about how to respond to the question. And so that's when I
Oh.
found out. Well, that's that as a coach. that's what we do. You know, you're looking at fighters and you see them, and you pick up a thing or two.
So a lot of it is reading the fighter and seeing how they're going to understand it and what the best
Yes,
delivery is to get through to them.
yes, and also and again, like I have like I have Junto that if only Masayuki Ito, if only he'd be more like Junto. I think he would have been a great fighter too. Yes, he won the world title, but he lost it in his first or second title defense. But he had the talent and everything. He was smart, but he always say, "Why? Why?" I'm like, "Why?" Because well, if you do it, you'll understand why. Like here's one for you, and I can guarantee you that you probably have never heard this.
Try
Okay,
me.
Junto had, I think, in the last week, the last 10 days that he was here in Los Angeles for his last fight. In those 10 days, I think 4 times he sparred 20 rounds. Each day was a 20 round sparring.
Wait. 4 days, 20 rounds each day.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't 4 days in a row. It was
Yeah.
like in the last 10 days. Okay, in the last 10 days, so he would spar on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So in one of those, I think he did that on that first Saturday. He did 20 rounds, and then on Monday he did 18. But then on the next Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday he did 20 rounds of sparring. But here's the thing though. I said sparring. I didn't say fight. I don't fight my guys in the gym anymore like we used to. Now they're a little older now, and so I need to get them ready for the day of the fight. Now that's where they're supposed to perform at the day of the event, not at the gym. And at the gym, they're working, they're moving, they're doing they're doing what they're supposed to do. Now, if anybody who's ever been in boxing would know, then you start by shadow boxing, then you spar, then you get off and you do the mitts, you hit the bag, the double in bag, and everything else, right? Well, we don't do none of that. We do the sparring instead. And for me, I haven't done the mitts in a while, but I do every once in a while. I will pick up a mitt and ask maybe Junto, do this, so he understands why that combination we're doing that combination, and then he'll go ahead and do it. Once he picks up on it, I don't have to remind him anymore. He'll do it during his shadow boxing and during his sparring. So I'm very fortunate to have a guy who who believes and never questions.
15
No,
and
that's
20
me.
rounds.
That's my call.
Well,
Yeah, that's my
why?
call.
That's just
You think you
devil's
think you think I
advocate.
should have done? You think I should have done 24?
I should have gotten 100. No, I'm kidding. No, but isn't there a concern then that he's gonna, risk an injury or burning out? I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate, right? Like it sounds like it's a lot of work
Yeah,
for a
no, that's
fighter
that's
before a
that's how
fight.
everybody sees it. That's the first thing that comes to mind. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Blah blah blah. But you're not there. I mean, I invite you to come to the gym one day and come and see how we work out, and you will completely understand, and I can assure you that you'll leave saying that's a great workout because
What?
my guys are not there. My guys are not there to fight. They spar at 20%, no more than 20% power. I don't want them to beat the shit out of each other in the gym. That's not where the money is made. The money is made at the day of the event. Right here, you're working, you're staying sharp and you're moving. And instead of hitting the bag and the mitts and everything else, they're sparring. See,
Gotcha.
nobody's gonna throw punch. Nobody's gonna tell, well, here comes a punch. No, they're gonna throw punches and they're moving. And again, like I said, I mean, think about it. 20% of power. If they do more than 20% of power, okay, they do 3 rounds and get that person off because my guys know how to control it. Well, not my guys, because Tony La Princesa Olascuaga, who's the WBO flyweight champion, that guy right there, man, okay, to get a better understanding, I tell Tony, damn, Tony, I'm surprised you made it home tonight. And he goes, why? I go, shit, I worry that every time you cross the street, you might get run over because that's Tony.
So, taking a step back though, what you're saying essentially is they're getting 20 rounds, but they're not taking 20-round punishment. So they're getting 20
No.
rounds of experience moving
Okay.
and working on combinations against an actual opponent versus a bag.
Of course. Well, look at it. Okay, here's one for you. I've always said this. Okay, it's okay to walk around looking like a dumbass, but when you open your mouth, don't prove them right. So kind of like that's kind of like I do certain things in the gym that you may have a certain idea of it, and then when you see it and you're there, you say, this is like really cool because it is really
Yeah.
cool. And And I have another one that I have now. I have two guys sparring in the ring. Well, three guys. One spars two guys. So he crosses that line over there, the guy's waiting to hit him. He crosses the line over here, this other guy's ready to hit him. And Junto did that. And I have a little kid who's 8 years old who helps them.
What does he do? He's just in there throwing punches?
Yeah, he throws a bunch of punches, and then well, when the fighters, even Kenshiro, when Kenshiro came here about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he did that, and he was like, oh man, he was so happy. He left impressed by the workout that we had, and he said, wow, he said that he would he would start doing a little bit of it.
That's
But
crazy.
I'm
So
telling
that
you, you gotta come to the gym. Come to the gym. I know you're in Northern California, but I mean, maybe one day I'll go out there
so
and
wait, to
I'll get a couple
clarify,
of guys.
I'll clarify. I'm in Chicago, but I'd be down to come out. I mean, that does sound.
Oh,
I
you're in
just can't believe.
Chicago?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, I think we're going to Chicago not too in I think
Early
some
August.
next month. With the UFC is going to Chicago. I think in either
Oh,
July or August.
got you. Because I know there's a boxing match. I think it's through Golden Boy on August 2nd. But if there's a UFC one, I'm there. I like.
Okay.
Not to get too far off topic. I was an MMA fan before I was a boxing fan, and then when I really started to fall in love with boxing, it was just they're just two different animals. A lot of people like to compare them, and I don't think that's fair to either sport. They're
No,
completely
they're
different
they're
sports.
they're okay. I will say this,
Yeah.
and even though I've been boxing my whole life, I've been in boxing for like almost 50 years, a little bit over 50 years almost. And but I will say this, and I tell my friends this. I go, if you have to pick only one, either a UFC show or a boxing show, hey, buy the UFC show because you're gonna get more out of your money. You're gonna get
Yeah.
a stacked card. You're gonna get, I mean, like you're gonna get some really great fights. Um, and there's no comparison.
I would agree. Dana White's delivered for a long. Really, people have different opinions about him. His cards have delivered, and the value's always been there. And to be honest, and I love boxing, and I always want to see it thrive. But some of the cards that have been pay-per-views are just like it's insulting. I'm not surprised. A lot of people steal the fights for a reason. It's because they're
Yeah.
getting ripped off.
Well, it's the fighter's fault, and I think at the end of the day, like it is. I mean, look at how watered down things have been. You look at the youth, how they function and how they see and do things. It's just different. We have just too this new society has gotten too soft,
I think they've gotten
and
to
it
a lot
really
of
sucks.
ego. I think there's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
ego involved too.
uh, um, I don't know. I worry about my grandchildren. What kind of life they'll end up living. You know, and but that's out of my control.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole. I mean that's that's a whole other conversation. So big, but I understand where you're coming from, and part of it, I kind of respect fighters for because there was a time when fighters took what they got, and that was that, and sometimes they get ripped off, and now they advocate for themselves. But I also think as a fan, I just want to see the best fight the best, and I love a guy like a Cambosis who will. People are making fun of him, but it's like he'll fight anybody, and he's taking the losses, but at least he's getting in there. It's way better for the sport than a guy who hasn't fought anyone else in the top five, that is
Yeah.
in the top five.
I don't I don't believe that the fighters are really um taking it. I mean, like they get ripped off. I don't see it that way. I mean, when you sign a contract, you have to honor it. You can't be complaining about it afterwards. You signed it. You agreed to the terms. Suck it up. And so what? Look, I believe that the promoter needs to make a lot of money. And if he doesn't make that money, where are we going to get the events? No, he has to make
Yeah.
money in order to keep going. And when you agree to a contract, suck it up. Oh, I got ripped off. He made 10 million and I only made 500,000. Well, yeah, but he put up the money for you to be able to make that, and the show must go on.
That's a good point, right? A promoter takes risks. A fighter gets guarantees. A fighter's going to make
Yes,
is on the high level. A fighter's going to make money regardless of how that pay per view sells. But the promoter might lose everything. Well, not everything, but
exactly.
everything on that show.
There is a lot of people who put in a lot of money into trying to promote because they believe that the fighter's the one that should make the money, And they realize that no, if they make the money, then you don't make no money, and where are you going to get the money from? And there goes the business.
Absolutely. Um, Here's one, just getting back to the boxing side of it, like in the ring. When do you know it's time to stop a fight? If a fighter's taking too much damage, or you think it's not worth it for him to go on, is that something that you judge on a case by case basis, or is there something that you see specifically where you'll throw the towel in?
There, there's been a okay. I'll use my brother as an example. When he fought Floyd Mayweather, I saw him take a punch, and then I saw how he reacted, the reaction of his body was, and so I turned around and told my dad that whatever Gennaro had left was just taken away from him with that punch. I go, there's no reason to keep sacrificing him. I'm going to pull him out. You know, there's no. I mean, he's done, and the fight. That's how we stopped the fight. And another one, Hector Quiros. Hector Quiros fought Ernesto Cepeda, and and I remember he came back to the corner and I go, you know what, Hector? I see that you still have like the will to try to win and everything, man, but I think you got old overnight, man. So let's just try one more round and see how that goes. And I think like under 2 minutes, the referee stopped the fight, and so that was it. I didn't have to do it, but I also there was another kid. He was never a contender or he was never going to be a good fighter ever. And one day he asked me to work his corner, and I had my brother who was a world champion at the time, and I'm like, man, I told him, I go, me work the corner with you, man? You know how freaking sorry of a fighter you are, man. Shit, how embarrassing. And and so I leave the weigh-in, and as I'm driving, man, I was really pissed off at myself because I'm like, what the hell do you think you are? Why are you in the sport? And so there was questions that I asked myself, and so I called them and I go, okay, Pumita, you know what? I will be there tomorrow. I'm going to take care of you. I got you. I'm going to wrap your hands. I'll be your cut man. I'm going to be there. And he was so happy. But the next day, the day of the fight, the referee comes, gives the instructions, and I walk out with the referee, and I tell the referee, as soon as he gets hurt, you stop the fight. Don't question. I'm here not because I believe that he can win. I'm here to protect him from him getting hurt. I don't want him to get hurt. I want him to go home. And so I helped him. And that's exactly what happened. He got hit and he wobbled, and the referee jumped in quick and stopped the fight. And that was his last fight. He never fought again after that.
I never thought about that, but when you go to a club fight, and you see a guy with, we'll say, like a 1-6 record, and he has
Yeah,
six knockouts on him. If you're in his corner, you have a pretty big responsibility to him as a human being to know if he gets hurt, the
exactly.
odds of him fit. Yeah, you got to save him from himself at that point. I didn't
Yes,
even think about that.
exactly. Well, that's why I'm a coach. And see, and don't refer to everybody as a coach because a lot of them are just trainers. They haven't put in the time. They haven't been in situations to where to earn that status. And like when you go to elementary school, you go to kindergarten and you go to elementary school and you move on, right? And I think that the same thing is in the boxing. You got to put in the time and you got to know. But there's a lot of people that think they know, but they don't know, and that sucks because uh, they're the ones that hurt these fighters. Like I have a problem with the way they do certain boxing. Like I don't. When my guy, okay, Tony Olascuaga, I'll use him as an example. He had a record of 5-0, and I get a call to fight for the world title. And I go, we're fighting. He goes, no, talk to him first. I go, no, we're gonna fight. Talk to him first. So I call Tony up. I go, Tony, I have bad news for you, man. Your fight got canceled, man. But I got you another fight. He goes, oh yeah, and he's all happy. And I go, yeah, you're fighting for the world title. He goes, what? Nah, you're kidding. I go, you're fighting for the world title. And the reason that I believe that he could do okay in the fighting for the world title was because before he turned pro, we went to the Olympic trials and we fought the number one fighter in the United States who was the guy that was supposed to represent the United States at that time, but we beat him. And he got and so we eliminated him from the trials, and we didn't even continue. We came home. My goal was to beat the number one guy, and once he did that, I really believe that Tony could fight any contender in the world because you can't be the number one in the United States for X amounts of times and not be a good fighter. And Tony beat him, left no doubt. So I believe that he'd be a world champion soon.
That's That's pretty bold too, because you only had 3 rounds, and it's
Yes.
but if he dominated for 3 rounds, you got your
Uh-huh.
answer. So he must
Uh-huh.
have. I mean, he must have crushed him.
Everybody was surprised. They're like, "Oh my God, you beat him!" And and I think at the end of the day, it's there's a reason. I didn't want to. I don't. Maybe he should have gone to the Olympics, but no, that's okay. At the end of the day, he wouldn't be where he's at today had he gone to the Olympics. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It would have been different. But at the end of the day, where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, but he had more matches in that tournament, and you took him out.
Yeah, he could have gone, but he see the thing is that when we went to the Olympic trials, I loved it because Tony lost at the Western trials. He lost, so he went in as the number 8 seeded fighter in the division. So number 8 had to fight number 1, and I love that. I was like I didn't want to go in number 7. I really didn't, and I was really happy that he lost because now we're getting the number 1 guy, and I'd rather beat number 1 than number 2, and so
Yeah,
that mission got accomplished. We beat the number 1 guy.
it's also the element of surprise. The first seed comes in against the 8th seed. There's a certain expectation that he's going to win. If you can
Uh-huh.
surprise him and catch him off guard,
That's
you
exactly what we
go.
did. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
that's what we did.
Um, I don't know if there's a specific answer to this, but I like asking questions like this. So, what's one piece of advice you always give to your fighters before they go into the ring? Or if it isn't one specific one, like one general piece of advice.
I always say this. Hey, do me a favor. Try not to block with your face.
Is that really what you say?
Yes. I always tell them that. As time has gone by, I go, hey, we're gonna walk into the well, we're in the locker room, and I go, hey, remember, do me a favor, don't block with your face. And they look at me because that they know what it means. Be aware,
Yeah.
you know, get your job, get it done, but don't get hit.
Does that cut does that cut the tension for a lot of guys too? Because I know that ring walk can build a lot of pressure before the fight. Is that a thing to kind of cut that tension, or is it just like a very direct message?
It's just a very direct message, and
Uh-huh.
I think that one of the great things about what we do is that they train really hard and they've always been in a fight ready. So if the day comes that we do lose, it'll be because the other guy was better than us. It won't be because we weren't ready or we didn't do our job. No excuses.
You were saying earlier, there are trainers, different guys are trainers. If you come to the ring with a fighter, I guess that makes you a trainer. But a coach is something above and beyond that. You have like you said, the kindergarten, elementary, so on and so forth. What are the things, are there specific things that you notice when a guy gets to a certain level as a coach, or is it just the time, blood, sweat, and tears in the game?
Okay, how many fighters carry the corner? Like
I
how
mean,
many? I mean, the fighter, like he's that good. I mean, anybody can train, anybody can be in his corner. He's that good. Like Floyd Mayweather, he's that good. I
yeah.
go, they carry the team. You know, it's not like what is it that you bring to the table. And also, the difference between a trainer and a coach is that a coach will tell a fighter, take his belt and his money and shove it up his butt and get the hell out of here because he's being disrespectful or he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. And my thing is that I don't answer to no one. And I've had guys. I've had the guy that's number 1 in the world. They came late, and I said, okay, well, my time with you is from this time to this time, and you got here like almost with only 15 minutes left on the clock. And so when those 15 minutes were over, I left, and he's number 1 in the world. He goes, no, wait a minute, I just started. I go, yeah, I know you did. I go, but I'm not here. I'm not here to accommodate you. You're my work hours with you is from 1 to 3, and it's already 3 o'clock, and I got other things to do, and I'm going to go and take care of the kids that really want to learn and want to be better. And so I left. The manager calls me and goes, hey, Rudy, but he's fighting in 3 weeks. I go, yeah, that's his problem, not mine. We have an agreement. I'm not here to accommodate him. He can't show up when he feels like it. Fuck him. Why he's that special now or what? That's not the way it works. We're going to work on my terms, and if he doesn't like it, then go find somebody else. I'm not here to accommodate you. I don't. I know where my next meal's coming from, so I'm not going to jeopardize, my beliefs just to accommodate. I can't do that.
That's one thing I've noticed too. There's a certain line that certain guys have who are at the top of the business, and it's always there's a certain level of disrespect that will not be compromised, no matter who the fighter is. And I noticed that. That's definitely a common trend. But I'd argue, if a guy has a fighter that he brought from scratch, say he got him as an amateur and he's found him when he was 13 years old, and the kid started boxing with him, the kid gets up to that level, uh, standout amateur, and is signed to promotion, and the kid does really well. At what point does that guy warrant being considered legitimate? You know, like he's made it and he's a top level guy. How does he cross that threshold?
He better not, because my thing is this. Okay, like I can say, like Tony. I started Tony when he was when he came. I met him when he was like 8, 9 years old, and he came to live with us when he was 14. And when he became champion of the world, he comes into the dressing room because I couldn't be out there because I had to rush back to wrap Junto Nakatani's hands because he was the main event. And so Tony wins the belt. I couldn't celebrate it with him there at that moment, and I had to leave. And I ran back to the dressing room. Tony comes into the room and he goes, "Hey, Rudy, I'm not a dumbass anymore." And he has his belt with him, right? So,
Yeah,
and I turn around and look at him. I go, "Shut the fuck up, Tony. You're still a dumbass, but now you're certified with a belt." And we all laughing. Everybody was laughing, and it was a great moment. I think that I wish the
yeah,
cameras were there, you know. But
that's
again, I think that at the end of the day, it's like we have to have a certain respect for each other. Like I'm trying to guide you to so when you retire, you're gonna be okay. But I'm not
yeah,
I'm not here to accommodate. I'm not here to accommodate you because I'm not helping you. Then I don't belong. If I got to do that, then I don't belong there. I'm not doing my job, and I refuse. My wife has even told me, if you were nicer. I go, Carol, what do you mean nicer? Like I'm supposed to soften them up so when they get hit with a punch with a right hand to the jaw, or they get their marbles, all rattled and stuff like. You think that my words to them is harder than those punches?
yeah.
Yeah, but you should be. I go, no, I should be. I am who I am, and I'm not about to change it for anybody because then I wouldn't be doing my job. Then I wouldn't be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I I know what it's like, and I'm not going to compromise it for anybody.
I'd asked Jonathan Banks this question. He didn't like it. I've always thought it's really a critical thing. So, as a former fighter, how much do you feel that's an advantage as a trainer to be able to just
Why
every
didn't he
part?
like it? I mean, why didn't he like it? I mean, I look at it this way. Look, the fact that I was a fighter and the fact that I did have to sacrifice a bunch of things to make weight, and I was only 20 years old when I won the tournament at the Forum. I only had 7 professional fights when I got invited into the tournament. So, and when I say I got invited, was my manager put me in the, and we're talking about 1980, 82. It was November of 1982. I think in November, yeah, November 1992 when I fought my first fight in the tournament. I won by a knockout in the, I don't know, like fifth round with a body shot to the liver, and but I didn't know that these other guys were on in the tournament. Lupe Aquino, who went on to be a world champion. Hedgeman Two Gun Robertson. He's a great guy. I think I wish I would have met him years ago after the fight, and I think we would have been really good buddies. But we're kind of distance, a lot of distance. But
Yeah,
I think he's a really nice guy. And the thing is that I told my manager Nori Takatani, I go, "Hey Nori, I thought you said there was only like up and coming prospects. These guys are all veterans. I'm the only one here with 8 fights. Nobody else had less fights than me. Nobody." And when I fought Lupe Aquino at the at the Forum, it was the semifinals of the tournament. And so he I think at the time he was like a 17 and 0 with 13 or 14 knockouts, and that was my ninth professional fight. So I beat him in the semifinals. So then we go to the finals. Now that's my 10th professional fight, and it's a 12-round fight, and I'm 20 years old, going on 15, 14 or 15, because mentally I was just a freaking kid. I didn't
yeah,
at that time. Okay, here's one for you. At that time, I had no idea what it was like to go out with your friends to a party, to parks or nothing like that. I go to the gym, I come home. I had a curfew, and I'm 20 years old. I had a curfew where I had to be home by 10 o'clock at night. Because once if I came in after 10 o'clock, the doors were locked. We couldn't come in because that was my dad's rule. And a year later, I have a child, and I still had to get home by 10 o'clock because those are my dad's rules. How you like that
How
one?
how was how was your dad? I mean, I'm gonna pivot here because that I didn't know. So how was your dad able to, for lack of a better term, how was your dad able to control you when you're an adult
Well,
and you're this
we
phenomenal
kicked our
fighter?
asses. Okay, I'll tell you how it happened. My dad used to
Yeah,
kick our asses when we were little kids, and he was mean. Like he would just look at us, just with that stare, that look. Oh man, we were in
yeah,
shit. We were in trouble. And my dad did not hesitate to beat us up in front of people and wherever we were at. If we messed up, we got punched and we got kicked in the butt, or my dad would hit us with the
yeah,
belt to our butts. He never hit us on our backs or nothing. He always hit us in the legs. He wasn't as abusive, but he was abusive. But that was
yeah. I mean,
old school.
yeah. I
Oh,
mean, I get that. Yeah, I mean, it's different when you hit the butt. There's a different thing than like people who maybe like if you're hitting a kid in the head or something like that.
yeah.
But you were 21 years old and had your own kid, and
Wait a minute.
you probably had money, right? Like he still told you what
Wait a
to
minute.
do.
Yes. And here's one for you. It wasn't until the age of 27, okay? I was 27 years old when I said, man, and I was married and I already have two kids. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go out to a nightclub with my friends. I had just started working with the park rangers, and so they wanted to go to the club, so I went to the club with them. And it was the very first time. And during that time, I started drinking. It was the first time. Well, the first time I took a drink was that I remember talking to myself and said, "Okay, I'm never gonna fight again. That's it. I'm done. Never gonna fight again. So I'm gonna continue to train my brother, and that's what I'm gonna do is become a trainer." And that I made that decision that night, and I started, and I got drunk. I went like for about like a 6 months, going out with my friends almost every night, and except Mondays was the only night that we didn't go out. But Tuesdays to Sunday there was a place to go, somewhere to go and have a good time. And I w- and it wasn't until that was in December and 1988. So 1989 I think, because the World Cup was well anyways. So I went like I said, I went on a 6 month binge, going with my friends and drinking, and then when I got a hangover, oh, this isn't for me. I said I'm not ever drinking again.
Wait. She started. So there's two things I'm noticing. The first one is you're 27. You'd never been out. I can imagine. There's probably a lot of like just partying that you wanted to do that you never got to. So it's probably like, all right, let's go nuts, right? Like, especially
Yeah,
without
I had
boxing being an outlet.
yeah, because I was a boxer. I was a professional fighter, and I had to. I've always said this, that you know, boxing is not forgiving. It's a very jealous sport. I've heard that before. I read it before. This is something that's been said for years and years and years. Boxing is a very jealous woman, because it is a woman, because there's a jealous one, and boy, it'll make you. I mean, yeah, it can be really hard on you.
Yeah. What is that analogy? I've heard that one. Boxing's a jealous woman. What is that? It doesn't want you to have anything else besides it.
Go out and party and watch what it's gonna do to you. Go cheat on her. Go cheat on boxing and watch what it'll do to you.
Yeah.
That's the way to look at it.
So wait, the hangover, you got a hangover after 6 months, which first of all is crazy. You get your first hangover
Yeah.
after 6 months, but that was enough for you to be like, oh, I don't like this. I mean, you were a boxer. I'm sure you've had
I'm like,
worse
oh
headaches
hell
than
no.
a hangover.
No, 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 no. I never had headaches like that, but I just remember like it was disgusting, man. Like I never want to do this again. And I went about another 10 years without drinking anything. And then I drank again, but this time I planned it. I said, well, this time I'm, 3 months from now we're gonna go to this place and I'm gonna get drunk because I already,
Yeah.
had my schedule and work and everything else, and I'm gonna get drunk. And that had been like 10, 12 years since I had gone drunk. And then I drank. And again, I like to drink quick. Within 45 minutes, I drank almost half a bottle of cognac. But I don't drink like cheap stuff, man. I gotta have
Yeah.
like something good. So after drinking almost half a bottle, I was like, really, man. But what's crazy is that the few times that I did drink, I am so aware of my surroundings. I listen to I'm just so focused and my concentration is like I believe it's unbelievable because I'm like, damn, man, I can't, man, if only I can be like that when I'm not drunk, I'd be okay.
Why do you think that is? You think he's just more relaxed, more like in tune?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Okay. Like it's kind of like when I was inside the ring. When I was inside the ring fighting, I can only listen to my dad. I can only hear my dad's voice out of everything and everything else was going on, and I would just listen to my dad. And he would scream and tell me certain things, and his voice was clear. And that's how when the time I got intoxicated, I can hear everybody, even when they were whispering, talking about me, and and I'm like, I remember saying, "Hey, wait, I'm drunk. I ain't stupid. Stop talking about me. Stop talking about me." And I haven't embarrassed anybody because if anybody has any kind of shame, it's me. I would never put myself in a position to embarrass myself.
Yeah.
I talk smack, but that's not that. I do that even when I'm sober.
I think it's a wild move to drink the half the bottle in 45 minutes though, because you just don't know how your body's going to respond, especially like after 10 years. You don't know how your body's going to respond or if, like how much food did you eat or things like that. That would
Yeah,
make me nervous.
I mean, like, and at the end of the day, so okay, first of all, I'm not, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. So just that one time, and then after that, another 10 years before I think I might have had something to drink. And just recently, I drank a, sh- uh, on the airplane a cup of wine, but not because I'm looking to get intoxicated or nothing like that. I'm doing it for health reasons. So I'm going like next week I'll be going to the doctor and I'm gonna get blood work checked on. And now if I have to, I'm thinking this is me being the Doctor Hernandez that I am. I think like a good shot of cognac on a every night for maybe 2 months can help clean out my system, cholesterol and all these other things because I don't want to deal with medicine. I think it's a double
Yeah.
sword. I think it's a double sword. I'd rather go with something natural, like I want to do something different. I don't want to have that. I think it's the biggest bull. So don't need it.
I would agree with that. I think there's a lot of natural things. I mean, you being a fighter too, you know how to take care of your body. You take care of your body, you work out, you run, you get that, you eat right. You see the types of results health wise. And I think that medication is sort of like a shortcut. I mean, sometimes you need it. I'm not judging folks for using it when they need to, but I feel like a lot of times it's a shortcut to solutions that we could get by taking care of ourselves. And alcohol in moderation too, that's a good point. It's a blood thinner. It's gonna it serves a purpose in moderation, right? If it's not in
Well,
like
yeah, I'm talking about like one shot, one small shot
yeah,
of this. Like I like that Hennessy Cognac XO, and if you take one shot, oh, I like to warm it up. My friend showed me that warming it up. Oh, that thing tasted so good. But I'm like, you get
you're
a
teaching me a lot now. I'm learning tricks.
I'm telling you, if you ever try like a Hennessy XO and you warm the cup and the
Yeah,
shot cup and then and the cognac is warm and you sip it a little bit, man, that thing is so good. It is like really good. But again, I'm not looking to get intoxicated. I'm just looking one shot so that I want to do it for 2 months and then go back to the doctor and have them check my blood and check my health again to see if it did make a difference.
so it's like you're sort of experimenting a little bit too. You're sort of trying
Yes.
something different.
Yeah, I don't like medicine. The thing about medicine is that it helps you here, but then it hurts you here. And we live in a country where everybody talks about like, oh, the doctor, they right away they all want to give you pills. The more pills, the more money they make. They make a crazy amount of money. Like my dad, on the other hand, my dad's 92 years old. And what did he do for his cholesterol? He got like a little clove of garlic. Every day he would drop that, and he never had no problems. And he's freaking 92 right now, and he's over there kicking butt.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's money. Not to get so far off topic, but money drives a lot of stuff. Money drives what
Yes.
medications we get prescribed. Money
Uh-huh.
drives the food that we eat, like the cost cutting measures to mass produce food. Like, think of all the crap we put in our body. That's why people were probably healthier back then, or
No, and
natural food.
that's why. But that's why also we have a lot of people are homeless out in the streets right now because certain chemicals that are being put on foods, and then the medications that they've been given, and then they try other drugs, and that's where they're at. Like
Yeah,
I just really I hate that our country has come to this, and it's sad, you know.
I I would totally agree. We're talking. I mean, you nailed it. To me, it's as simple as that. Pharmaceutical is $1 billion industry. People want a
Mhm.
solution. I've always thought this, and I'm sure you being like an old school guy and a fighter, you probably agree. People want the quickest solution. Give me that one button I can hit, and this problem is solved without considering you're going to become addicted to different medications. It's going to mess you up psychologically. It's going to have side effects that now you have to get more medication for. I agree. I try so hard to
Mhm.
avoid any of that.
No, like I said, I think that I would think something. Let's think outside the box, you know. And I don't know. I just and again, we can't help it, but at the end of the day, I'm responsible for this person that's walking in these shoes. And I if I die tomorrow, I'm good. Life doesn't owe me anything, and I'm supposed to be 63 in October. But the thing is that if I make it or don't make it, I'm okay. Like, because I really believe that even though my dad is 92, he hasn't lived half the life I have. If that makes sense. I've been to some of the biggest events that the UFC has ever had. I've been to some of the biggest boxing matches in the history of boxing. And I'm there working, whether a trainer or a cut man, and I was there. Well, how crazy is it that Povetkin fought Klitschko? I think it was Povetkin against Klitschko. You have a guy from Northern California named Stitch Duran as a cut man with the Klitschkos, and then Rudy Hernandez from Southern California, with
So
and the thing is, well, and and I remember meeting Stitch out there, and Stitch goes, "Hey man, how crazy, huh?" And I go, and I told him, Stitch, how crazy is it that these guys here got two guys from, well, he's someone from we're from both from California, and I go, yeah, crazy how it worked. Where these two guys are from different countries, and they got two guys from California, one from the northern side and one from the southern, and we were the cutmen for that fight, and that was a history made fight.
is it still surreal for you every time you get that opportunity to go in there and work one of these huge events?
It, I mean, today I don't I'm not looking for publicity. When I don't want to be that guy in the corner that gets that publicity. I don't want that. I want the fighter to be okay where I don't have to do anything. But because at the end of the day, I mean, he's the one suffering the consequences, and I don't. But I'm ready. If that person needs me, I'm ready. And there's been a couple of times in the UFC where I'm supposed to, because I'm one of the lead cutmen in the UFC. So I pretty much work the last 2 or 3 fights on the card sometimes. But there was one time where I didn't feel comfortable. I had a migraine headache, and I just couldn't. I didn't think that I could give the fighter 100%, and so I stepped out. I bowed out, and I had my friend Teddy Lucio, who's a really good cut man, and I told him, You take over. I can't. I don't think I can give this guy 100%. So I don't want to mess that up. It's not about me.
I'll give you the last question, and I'll let you go because I know I've been going for a while. But this one's so far outside of the box. But how much of it, obviously, your kids are now they're grown, and they've achieved what you wanted them to achieve by going to college, and you now have, grandchildren. I take it.
Yes, I have two,
So how
three. I'm sorry.
much of
We just had another one. We have three.
Oh, congratulations. Congrats.
Thank you.
So this is a weird question, but it's something I always think about. How much of your success means something for you to be a role model to all of them and to show them a path to success? Is that ever a part of
I
it?
I told I believe that we're we're all we all have different lanes. My son didn't want to do boxing, and he did want to be a cut man, but the thing is that I can't force you to do something that you don't want to do. You got to come out and do it on your own. But my son has, I'm really proud of my son. He's he's a great father. He's a better father than I was because
Wow.
and the way I look at it is that he spends his time with his kids and he's always with them. And I personally had to go with my brother fight in different fights in different places and stuff, you know. But my son understood that that was my job and that's what I had to do to bring home the bacon, and he understood that his uncle was a world champion, and so they grew up in the sport and so they know how this works. As a matter of fact, my son once went to with Ishida to, I think they went to Macau, not Macau, somewhere in Europe, and he went to Europe, and I went to Japan because no, I was with Mike Alvarado. Mike Alvarado was fighting for the world title, so I couldn't be at both places. So I sent my son to
Yeah.
help out over there in the corner, and and so anyways, so but that's he didn't, you know, he didn't stick around for the sport. But I will say this that I think I think he's proud that his dad you know, being where he was at and where he was born and what he did, you know, I've done well for myself. I think that makes, I think he's happy for me. So, you know, and I'm proud of him because he's, like I said, he's a better father than I was.
It's a very honest thing to say. I think that probably means a lot to your son to hear that. That's amazing. Rudy, thank you, man. I probably have more questions, but I'll keep you up all night. I appreciate you a ton, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. This has been a phenomenal conversation. Just learning a lot from you, and hopefully we can do it again soon. I had a great time talking to you.
I'm only a phone call away.
I appreciate you, Rudy. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you for the time. I appreciate you. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. You too. Bye.